Hello and welcome back to Spawn Trap's Hit Pause MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse podcast that never noticed how black your eyes are. I am Till. I'm joined once again by Jordan.
Hello, everyone.
We are
Uh,
doing these weekly as much as we can for Secret Invasion. I have hair in my eyes as soon as we start. We're doing 3 topics today. The theme of the podcast today is 3. Can you tell me what those 3 topics are?
um, Secret Invasion,
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and I already forgot the third.
Okay. So Secret Invasion, which episode?
We're on episode 3.
3, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy, which volume?
Oh, Guardians 3,
Okay.
Volume 3.
Can you guess what the third one is?
I sort of felt like I heard something. Are we gonna talk about Doctor Strange 3?
Not quite. That is a topic on the thing. If we have time
Yeah.
for it, maybe we'll throw it in. We got a lot of other there's a lot of other stuff that happened in the news I would love to talk about, but I feel like we're not gonna have time today. So we're probably gonna push those down the road to next week.
It's about
Um,
Deadpool 3.
it is about Deadpool 3.
Ah, yes.
There we go. We got an image of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, that
Have you
was.
seen this yet?
I did see that.
You
Yeah,
did
yeah,
see
yeah.
this. All right.
I did. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I saw a few there's a few on-set photos that were like leaked around already, and I was like,
There
oh
are
god,
quite a few.
I wish
Let's
they
go through the few. Here's some more. Wolverine
I
flipping
wish they
around Deadpool. These are really low quality images, but
yeah,
they're pretty cool. And then here's some more. Hugh Jackman in all his glory in the yellow costume.
yeah.
My thing is, I love the costume. I don't know about you. It's very
Um,
90s animated TV series slash astonishing X-Men comic book inspired.
yeah. I feel like the outfits themselves never have all the detail anyways. So I feel like even though those are the photos, like they might
Mhm.
CGI a few things, so there could be still a little bit more to his costume that we
Well,
haven't seen yet.
they're definitely going to CGI the claws, but if you notice,
Yeah,
like he's got the metal things. I don't know if we can go back to like the previous he's got like the metal knuckles kind of
mm,
like the animated show.
mm,
So his claws come out of those, which we've never seen before. In live action, I should say.
yeah.
Um, it looks pretty cool. One thing that I don't think I've ever noticed Wolverine to ever have is sleeves. So
Mm.
I don't know if those sleeves are gonna stay on the entire movie, or if he's gonna like rip them off at some point.
Yeah, got to show those Hugh arms,
Yeah.
those Hugh arms of his.
um. Yeah, when they posted this, because Ryan Reynolds leaked this on his Instagram first, his like
Yeah,
live stories. It was really like low quality image. Then the Deadpool account online posted it in hue definition.
yeah.
So that's where I got this from. Um, the other thing we're missing is the mask. Wolverine mask.
I feel like he doesn't even need a mask. He's got the
Yeah,
hair. He's got the hair, so it'd be sweet without the mask. But
it's. I mean, we've seen Wolverine without a mask this entire time, and also
yeah,
it's the thing where these movies they try to keep the actors out of the masks as much as possible. They're paying for
yeah,
the face. Ryan Reynolds being the exception apparently because of all the makeup he has to put on.
yeah.
It's easier to put him in the mask.
Well,
Uh,
he's supposed to be a burn, like basically like a
yeah.
burn victim. So I don't know. I think he was too pretty to put behind a mask, so he doesn't need one. Looks
This
great.
this is gonna be a fun movie. There's also more that we know about Deadpool 3
Okay.
recently because it was just announced that Jennifer Garner is reprising her role as Elektra from the old
That's
Daredevil movies.
that's pretty wild too. I did read that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
makes me think there's a lot of rumors, and we haven't really brought this up about Deadpool.
Dude, she's so hot. She's so hot. I just had to say it. Like that
This is an
picture
old
of her there.
photo. This is an
I
old.
know it's an old photo of her, but she looks great. Oh
Um,
man.
did you watch Deadpool and or it's not Deadpool, Daredevil and Elektra?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a long forever
long time
ago.
ago. Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
much. I remember there's one villain who had a tattoo, or he had tattoos all over his body, and he could make things out of his tattoos.
Oh, that sounds familiar. I
Yeah,
do remember that.
that's all I remember from Elektra.
Yeah.
Um, so the rumors for Deadpool, which we didn't really bring up on the podcast, I don't like really talking about a lot of rumors and stuff unless there's some sort of like credence to them.
Right.
But one thing is that a whole bunch of old Marvel actors, like pre MCU, are going to be making appearances or cameos in this movie.
Hmm.
Which I'm like, that's a cool concept. Like, I don't know if that's true. And then we got this announcement here. So I'm thinking that it might be true. That we're going to
Yeah.
see like a lot of old X-Men, maybe Fantastic Four, like Ghost Rider, Blade, all of that's on the table, right?
Right.
If that's the case, just where Marvel's at right now in the multiverse saga, we're talking about like incursions and all this other stuff. It sounds very much like they're adapting a story called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And I like Matt was asking me about it on our Discord and everything. He's like, "Is this what they're doing?" I'm like, "It sounds like it. I'm pretty
That'd be sweet.
sure this is the Deadpool 3 that we're gonna get."
It would be a sweet, sweet send off, like a sweet
Yeah.
trilogy.
Well, the goal is to have him go to the MCU, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think
Bring Ben
Hugh
Affleck back
Jackman's.
as Daredevil
Yeah,
slash
potentially,
and
yeah.
Batman.
Tobey Maguire Spider Man maybe kills Tobey Maguire. I doubt that though because then they would need legal rights from Sony and everything, which they could have. I mean, they got a good relationship with Sony, so um, but but yeah, can you imagine? It's so the premise is just that Deadpool is like maybe all these characters exist in the same universe or not, or maybe they're traveling the multiverse. But I think the idea is they're trying to kill off all these worlds so that there's just the MCU.
Hmm.
So that's gonna be
It's
funny.
crazy.
Been getting
Yeah.
calls all day. So the next thing we're gonna talk about, while I text my mom that I'm gonna call her back right when we start the podcast, we're gonna go into Secret Invasion talk right now. We're gonna talk about episode 3. Jordan, what did you think about this episode?
I liked this one a lot. There's a lot more. You learn a lot more about Nick Fury and sort of like how he rise to the ranks as a secret spy. So that was kind of cool because I never thought about
Me neither.
that. Yeah, like that was like a really cool thing. I guess it's a nice good time. Here we go for the spoilers. Talos and 19 of his men signed on to be his spies for him, and they just got all kinds of information for him, spying on him around the world for him, getting him all of his. They were just all of his little. I don't know, basically his own little secret team that could turn into whoever they wanted, get any information they wanted. What else did he say? I think they said like they could get their hands on what did they call it? Their hands on evidence or something. And like or they could get the dirt that nobody else could, I guess,
Yeah.
for Nick Fury. So that was kind of cool to think about the use of scrolls through this whole time.
Yeah, the so basically what we're getting from that is that Taylor said that the Skrulls pretty much put Nick Fury in the position that he is today in the
Yeah,
MCU.
getting him his promotions, getting him
Yeah.
his intel he needed to get those promotions, etc. Pretty
Um,
cool.
I got some notes here. We start off the episode talking about Super Skrulls in a very are we some kind of Suicide Squad way. It's like we're gonna become Super Skrulls. Uh, so yeah, all the world leaders, I guess, are becoming Super Skrulls. They're getting those abilities. It sounds like.
Uh, yeah. I
Uh,
did go back and watch it by the way to see the camera or the computer, I guess, that showed all the different the
mhm.
Groot, the Eagle Obsidian,
Yeah.
Extremis and the Frost Beast. That was pretty cool.
Yes. Um, one thing, they're doing some flashbacks in this episode, and one moment I think Nick Fury was talking to Priscilla slash Vara. Um, they meant the quote that I wrote down here is, "This should put Dreykov's men on their heels," which I think Priscilla was saying. Dreykov was the guy from Black Widow who was like kidnapping all these girls and turning them into Black Widows.
Mm-hmm.
This was before. Would this have been? Yeah, this would have been before Black Widow. This would have been way before Black Widow, right?
Guess so.
When did
I don't remember that scene.
when what year was it that the talk?
Blackwood.
Yeah,
When Black Widow took place.
when they were kids. When they were kids, when they take place. I guess it would have been, yeah, it would have been before Secret Invasion then.
Yeah.
It was in the, yeah, okay. Um okay, yeah, so Shield was doing something with Dreykov. That was like a kind of throwaway line. I don't know if if we need to look any more into that,
Hmm.
but something I didn't catch the first time. I had to watch this episode over because I had to take notes.
Yeah. I'm gonna take notes next time. I think I said I was gonna take notes before, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And
I keep forgetting.
I'll do it next time.
Another quote I have is from Gaia saying, "I'm a pretty good liar," which I mean the ending here was a big. By the way, if you haven't caught on by now, this is a spoiler podcast. We're going into full spoilers of all the stuff for MCU. If you haven't watched Secret Invasion yet, we personally have not watched episode 4 yet because we've been waiting to do this podcast. So so we're getting into our theories and ideas and everything before we watch episode 4. Episode 4 is already out. We just decided to do the podcast first. We are live streaming on Twitch. I didn't really announce it much anywhere, but we are live right now. If you are watching on Twitch, please don't spoil anything. We're going to be uploading it later to YouTube, and then go from there. So Gaia dies at the end of this episode, and her starting off the episode saying, "I'm a really good liar," makes me not believe that she's dead.
Until I see a body,
I mean, we saw a
everyone's
body.
alive. We saw a body,
Yeah.
but I was like, that's one bullet to an alien. I was like, I don't think she's dead. Even if she changed at the end, like she changed from Amelia Clark to a Skrull as she was shot.
Yeah.
And then the guy just drove off. But I don't know,
She's a
man.
really good liar.
I know she could have a bulletproof vest on, and then you just lay on the floor and change. I don't believe anything, man. Like scrolls are great at lying.
Yeah.
They're great at being sneaky and intelligent. I don't. I didn't buy that at all. I was like, no way you kill off Amelia Clark halfway through the show without like just a mad death.
We'll get into her death later because I got some stuff to bring up. But
sure.
Next we saw the meeting. I don't know if I'm skipping over anything. I just took brief notes. So
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm missing.
These are about the big ones I remember too.
Yeah.
So.
The next thing is that I wrote down is the meeting between Talos and Gravik.
Gravik, yeah.
Yeah, where they're sitting down talking to each other.
Yep.
And he stabs his hand with the knife. And then we first see Gravik with Extremis pulling his hand away.
Yeah, he just rips between his hand from literally here up through between his fingers, and then it heals, which was wild.
That was gruesome. This show can get pretty gruesome so far. They're cutting off fingers.
To meet, yeah, for sure. And for them to meet at a secret location or a what was supposed to be a mutual place, and Gravik had the whole place. Yeah, and Gravik had the whole place with just his men. I was like, wow, what a wiener.
When he was walking out the door, like Gaia dropped the phone as disguised as that old guy. And he's like, "Here, sir, you dropped your phone." And he's like, "Yeah, thank you." He was already gone, walking away by the time the Gravik walked out the door. But Gravik was suspicious of that old guy in the distance walking away. Like, why would he be?
I thought that was weird too. I was like,
Yeah,
who's he looking at? Does he see Talos or is he just like, oh,
no,
that old guy?
he was
I was like,
following Gaia.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he
uh,
must have unless he has men on Gaia, so he must have maybe someone told him. I don't know. Gravik, I feel like Gravik's sneakier than we think too. So like
yeah.
he's
It. I
seems to be
mean,
pretty smart too. So
clearly by the I mean the next point here, the actual point of this episode was they're trying to stop um like a NATO
missile.
submarine shooting down a US aircraft or something.
Yeah,
um and they infiltrated. There's three Skrulls that infiltrated the submarine, and
yeah,
saying they got direct orders. They need to follow them and shoot the plane down. It's going to start World War III. There and they have to find this guy Bob to give the code to stop it.
yeah.
We found out later that Gravik he was very suspicious of Gaia. He was very smart. This was a plan, but it was actually secretly his plan to see
Ploy.
if Gaia
Find the
is,
traitor.
yeah, a
Yeah,
traitor. Um,
yeah. Find the traitor.
Couple things I want to note on Bob. First of all, so he's a Skrull, and he was
Right.
worried about them shooting his son. Who, what
Yeah.
are we assuming is like a half Skrull, or is like is an actual, is a Skrull, or is the human kid? Because like, why would he care if he was a Skrull and their plan is to destroy the human race?
I
You
don't
know?
know. Yeah, I don't know. I assumed his kid was a scroll too. I just don't know why he was like in human form unless he had to be. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it sounded like the kid like didn't realize he's like it sounded like he wasn't aware that his dad was a Skrull.
Hmm.
To me, I don't know.
I will say my girlfriend was like, "Oh my god!" Like, because first we see Talos pass by the kid
Yeah.
and left him untouched, and then he goes to kill that Bob guy, but then he gets held at gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And then my girlfriend was like, "Why wouldn't he tell? He should tell Nick." My girlfriend was like, "He should tell Nick Fury about the kid, as long as he's gonna be like in the minute." I was like, "Dude, Nick Fury's gonna go up there and use that kid as a meat shield for sure." And the next scene, you see him kick down the door and he's got
Yeah.
a gun to the kid's head. And my girlfriend just goes, "Come on!" And I was like, "Yeah, bro." I was like, "Nick Fury don't
Yeah.
give a fuck."
Well, he's like nobody calls me Nick,
Yeah.
so he got the hint from that. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, so that's a weird thing. I don't know what the story is with that, with Bob and the kid, and I don't know if we're gonna actually get an answer. But one thing Bob said before Talos shot him was that he said, um, is Gaia the spineless traitor feeding you information?" So that moment right there shows that Gravik knew this was his plan all along. And he was trying to weed out the infiltrator.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just Gravik who knew. He told Bob about it. So this was like, so
Now
Gaia's
Talos
covers
knows
his
he's in
well.
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I have is Gaia's death, which I have a feeling, um, just at the beginning, the previous episode, we saw her sneaking into that lab to see what they were
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
and looking at the computer and everything. And she was watching how they were doing everything. Do you think before she was shot, she underwent her that experiment herself?
That's what me and Jess thought the same thing actually.
Yeah.
We were like, we were like, dude, she's gonna like, we're gonna see like the first beginning of this next episode is gonna be like her waking up in the forest, and we're gonna see
Yeah.
like extremis, like just heal her wound or push the bullet out or something, or
Yeah.
maybe we'll see a different power. Who knows what we'll see? Maybe it's not just extremis. Maybe we'll see, uh, I don't know, one of the ones. Maybe she has gall obsidian
Yeah,
like
the
her
heart's like
chest,
she made her
and
chest
she's
hard and yeah,
oh yeah.
made like the bulletproof. Or I'm just thinking it's extremis and she's just gonna heal.
That's what
Yeah.
we're thinking too. I was like, come on, they're obviously gonna show her like with the big reveal is gonna be that she's also undergone the power. Because if they
Mhm.
choose to use her later, why would they not just make a Super Scroll female
Well,
character?
the thing is, so there is promotional material with Amelia Clark in it that we haven't seen on screen yet. But this is a scroll that's taking on the image of an actual human. So the thought is maybe this person still exists, and the rest of the show that we're seeing Amelia Clark is actually the human that the scroll took the form of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. So I don't know. Maybe Guy is dead, and then there's this human that the actor's gonna play from now on,
Right.
or
Right.
it was a fake out. Guy is alive, and she's gonna heal herself somehow or survive the bully shot.
I think it's you make Amelia Clark Gaia, so then she has like she has
Mm,
ties to Talos and Nick, and then she's gonna be a half super soldier later, and you can make something with her later. I think she's fine. If they kill her off
yeah.
3 episodes in, it seems weird to hire Amelia Clark for that. I know what you said. You could always have her for something else, but it just
Mm,
seems like it wouldn't be something like why make her just be a human though? And like she could have some
yeah.
like her character could be something more.
Well, on her death, and actually on the topic that we brought up earlier for Deadpool, I thought I'd bring up some interesting things that I did notice. Um, Just it was just based on an article or an opinion piece. I didn't actually read through it, but the title was clear and made me think of this. There is so I'm just gonna throw you for a loop here, and I know you don't follow a lot of this stuff, so it's gonna just be interested to hear your thoughts. There is a I guess you might call it like a feminist talking point on like tropes in fictional media regarding the term is called fridging, which they actually brought up in Deadpool 2, I think. Like the actual term.
Right.
It comes from a actual Green Lantern comic book where uh the the Green Lantern character comes home, found his girlfriend dead in a fridge um from like his villains killed off his girlfriend.
Right.
And it's I guess it's a noticeable ongoing trope for this style of plot device where the like the featured women in fictional media is killed off or maimed or harmed in any way in order to advance the plot of the male character.
Right.
And so that's why they brought it up in Deadpool, because they killed off the girl at the beginning of the movie in order to have that whole storyline for Deadpool 2, right?
Right.
So that was the literal thing that happened.
Hmm.
That made me think about the show, and I'm like, fuck, they did it twice in the first 3 episodes of the series, which I was never thinking about, but now I'm noticing it now. They did it with Maria Hill in the first episode to advance the plot of Nick Fury, so like so that to push his story further. They did it the same way with Gaia in this episode for Talos' story. Now we're also under the assumption that she could be still alive, but um
Right.
it's just something I noticed in this episode, and
Yeah.
something you don't think about until it's brought up, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Um the other thing that I was looking at that kind of brought up this thought as well. There's another concept called the Bechdel test. Doesn't mean that something's good or it has to be one way or another. It's just an observation uh, uh, point about women in fictional stories as well.
Yeah.
The test involves like it's a so-called test. There's no like score or anything for this, but it's just if you notice if a story involves it's just a test for if a story involves two or more women who are featured in a story that
Yeah.
talk to each other about anything other than the male characters in the story. And this series fails that test
Hmm.
because I if you can think about it, there's only a few like a handful of female characters that I have noticed in this series And I don't think any one of them has talked to another woman in the show that I can think about.
Yeah, I think we have Maria Hill,
Only talked to
Gaia.
Talos and Nick Fury at that point. Guy has
Yeah,
only talked to all guys.
yeah. We had the interrogation woman,
Yeah,
which was all again all guys, and Maria Hill's mom, I guess.
yeah. Who's
That's a good.
also just surrounded by guys there as
Yeah.
well.
Hmm.
So again, we're not. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. It's just an observation piece. Obviously, this is like a political, espionage kind of uh, story that we're following. We're not like focusing on all that other stuff, but it is something I'm going to be kind of aware of, just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm more curious of it. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it. I just thought I'd bring it up to you because I didn't think it would be like something that you would be aware of or notice either.
No, I don't think I ever really noticed it. Like maybe I've probably I think I've noticed it in movies. I like a specific. I would say I usually, I think I notice stuff more like that when like stuff collide. Like when say like the Avengers and the Guardians collided, I was like, oh, you know what?
Hmm.
I never, what's his name? Like I've been like, oh, Winter Soldier never talked with this person or that person. Like I always
Right.
think about like their first interactions together and stuff. So I see it that way. I guess I never really look at it as like female to female or whatever. But um,
I'll give you a big
the
one
Marvel.
though that like clearly comes to mind every time for me.
Mhm.
The first Iron Man movie.
What about it? I won't. What
How
was
many
that?
women are in that movie? There's two.
Yeah, I
There's
was gonna say
two.
there's the reporter.
There's the reporter
Yeah, there's the reporter and Pepper
and
Potts. I think
Pepper
that's it.
Potts. That's it.
Yeah,
And they did have a conversation at the beginning of the movie about
yeah,
Tony Stark.
yeah. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. The last thing I have in my notes about the this episode here, the ending of the show, where Priscilla goes to that uh safety deposit thing or whatever,
yeah,
and she has a gun and a note,
yeah,
and she gets the phone call, and she's like, "I want to speak to Gravik," and the guy's like, "Well, you're talking to me."
yeah.
I don't know about
Sounds like
you.
War Machine.
It did, yeah. It
Yeah,
sounded just like him.
that's gotta be War Machine. That's what we were just like. We were like, it's War Machine, but we just want to know if it's
Yeah.
him, or if it's a scroll him.
I think the
So,
subtitle said "guy on the phone," but
mm,
I'm pretty sure it was War Machine. It sounded just like
yeah,
him.
yeah.
So War Machine's a scroll, pretty much
I think
confirmed at
so.
this point. Yeah.
I don't think he's. Yeah, I don't think he's been on the entire MCU, but I think someone's impersonating him right now. I'm not sure if we're gonna. I'm not sure what I
We're
think is happening, but
Yeah. See, because I mean, we've already talked about this. There's a point where after Endgame, before Falcon and Winter Soldier, he
yeah,
starts walking around a lot easier now,
yeah,
and I'm guessing at that point is when he started moving up in the ranks too.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
wonder if
saying.
uh, I wonder if Rocket. I wonder if Rocket built like Rocket should have made him something to heal his leg.
For Rhodey,
Rocket's, yeah, for Rhodey. Like in at the end of Endgame, I was like, Rocket should have came up with something
I
because
think
Rocket like
they left right after Endgame. They like took
yeah,
went on the
they
ship and
left like
left.
the next day or something. But I was just like, man, they should have like Rhodey should have asked Rocket to fucking heal his leg. Like Rocket did all kinds of upgrades for Nebula, so which we'll talk
Well,
about.
yeah. Well, speaking of Guardians, let's do that now. I think I'm gonna have to exit out. Nope. Okay, here we go. Got the visual context rectangle. We just watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah,
Or I just watched it for the first time. You rewatched it.
yeah, I'm
Uh
excited to talk.
all right, well you start off then.
Uh, so I'll just go over the opening. I guess the opening was really cool. We got to see nowhere
Your
is
your
becoming.
mic's cutting off right now. I don't know why.
I'll you start and tell me my mic works.
Okay, we're starting at the beginning. So yeah, we started off with all the baby raccoons and the why am I blanking on it? The High Evolutionary grabbing baby Rocket out of the bunch there, in the most like sad scene ever.
Yeah. Is my mic better now?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sound better. Yeah. Um. Yeah. We see that as a quick beginning, and then it leads to Rocket, and we are on Nowhere, and we get to see Nowhere becoming the Guardians of the Galaxy's like main HQ, which I'm assuming is kind of like a little after. I kind of feel like they bought it after the Guardians of the Galaxy special.
No, it
So
was
it kind of
before
seemed
then.
like their home was before then.
Yeah,
Okay, because
because
it kind of seemed like their home then. But
in the special, they mentioned that they bought it from the Collector, who we
mm,
found out is still alive in that special. Because
yeah,
I assumed the Collector was dead after Thanos, but nope.
yeah. Yeah, so we see it kind of becoming more of the HQ, the headquarters for the Guardians. And there's just some small banter. We see a drunk Peter Quill mourning the loss of Gamora,
Yep.
still trying to get over it. Um, so to confirm all the things, or well, I guess, or whatever, put down the rumors where everyone thought that Peter Quill was dead from the trailers. It is actually just Nebula carrying
Yeah.
a drunk Star Lord.
That
And
shot, I thought that spoiled for me because I thought he was going to die. But that was like really just the intro of the movie.
yeah,
So I was
it
happy
seemed
about
too
that.
quick. It seemed too much to spoil it. You can't have them carrying somebody's corpse and
Yeah.
then in the trailer be like, "No, he's not dead," and then in the movie be like, "Nah, yeah, he is dead. You're right." Like that seems too much. It seems that would seem like it could have been too much. So, but yeah, so that was that, and then we were very quickly introduced to Adam Warlock,
Yeah.
who comes and fucking dismantles the Guardians like
Yeah.
cotton candy, just pulls them
Cotton
apart like no
candy.
problem. Yeah,
Uh,
just pulls them apart
yeah,
easily.
destroying nowhere.
Yeah,
I was gonna bust out my Zune, which I thought was in this drawer right here. It was gonna be like Star Lord and Rocket are using the Zune. Um, I guess I lost it. I actually had two models there. I guess I lost them both. Um, Nowhere looks fantastic.
yeah,
I
very
love the
cool.
design of it. It's I don't think it's ever looked better. Like the Christmas looked really cool in the special too, but
Yeah,
this movie it looked fantastic, and I wish we had more of it. But
yeah, it looks
yeah,
more like a home. Like it kind of looks at more like a home and like living quarters and stuff. Whereas before, nowhere kind of was just like a mining place and like
yeah,
a back, kind of looked like a backwater gambling center. Now it's kind of more like homes and headquarters and
yeah,
like an actual city is on it. So
yeah. I think in the comics there's supposed to be like a hub for a lot of people in the galaxy to go to like meet and um like trade and stuff like that,
yeah,
if I remember correctly. Um, but yeah, that's definitely something I was like really excited to see in the Guardians when they first released the first movie. It's just looked better and better ever since. Um, and we finally got Cosmo in the movie.
we did.
I've
We
been
did get
saying
Cosmo.
Cosmo's been my favorite Guardians member. I'm like, I want more Cosmo, and they gave us more Cosmo. So I'm happy about that.
Which is weird because the Cosmo in the Guardians one
Hmm.
looked like a bigger dog and like a male,
It was a different
whereas
dog because that dog passed away.
yeah,
So they got a
but it
new
was a lot.
dog to model the CG version of Cosmos. So Cosmo, I think, is mostly computer generated.
Yeah, and this one was a like almost looked like a baby, and it like it was like a.
Hmm.
This one looked very young, like not like a. Did not look like an adult. It looked like a almost like a puppy, like a
Yeah,
for whatever breed that dog is. It was big, but it looked like a puppy, and it was a female Cosmo,
yeah.
which was a very adorable voice
Mhm.
character I loved in this movie.
He's really upset if you call her a bad dog.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they
Do
got a
not call him.
they got a big new ship.
Yeah, Yeah, the Guardians got upgraded. I do miss the Milano,
Me too.
but this one had a lot more features I felt to it that kind of made it a little bit more bigger to roam around in, and they could split off into multiple different ships. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. This movie was great. I think if I'm like ranking it, I still like the first movie the best,
Yeah.
just personally.
If I had to go by, yeah, I would say the first one's probably my favorite. I think I definitely like this one. I think more than two. Two has a lot of really cool scenes that I enjoyed, like the one where Rocket, uh, like bullies all the Ravagers in that forest. I love
Yeah,
that scene. I still think two has the best intro though. Two's intro,
with
um,
Ego and his mom.
no, not quite that intro. Like
Oh, the
the
what they're defending the sovereign.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I always feel like there's not quite the like an intro until like I would say like the intro to this one. I know it kind of showed the high evolutionary with the whatever, but I would kind of say the intro to this one more was like when they put the song out and they're walk when Rocket's walking around nowhere and kind of showing off nowhere. I would say that's more the intro, or at least when they fight Adam Warlock. The
yeah,
two was the best for the you see baby Groot, he's running around, he's dancing while there's a
yeah.
whole fight going on. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Best intro in the entire MCU, in my opinion.
Groot got really big and swole for this movie.
He sure did, yeah. Been working out those last couple of years.
They didn't have a
Because I think,
lot of scenes with Groot, but I thought he kind of shined a lot in this movie.
oh yeah, I think they showed a lot more of what Groot can do. He has a lot of compartments. He can just
Hmm.
hold. He can just hide inside of himself. He can just hide guns, grenades, scalpels, whatever you need, whatever Star Lord needs him to do. He's
Yeah,
very he was like very whereas Star Lord is the legendary outlaw,
yeah.
Groot kind of felt like his number two, like his I don't know. He also felt like they had the outlaw together, like they were like a couple of bandits together. It kind of seemed really cool. I liked it a lot.
This whole movie was all centered around Rocket,
Yep.
and it was a very sad story for Rocket. Actually, Rocket was like out of commission for a lot of the movie, so a lot of what we seen from him was backstory,
Yeah, a lot of
which
flashbacks.
yeah, which was really cool to see. And the having the High Evolutionary as the villain in this movie fit so well for that.
Yeah.
Um, we got to see more of what the High Evolutionary was doing, created an entire planet that emulated Earth,
Yeah.
but everybody was like animal human kind of
An
uh
animal hybrid.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird that he would model things after Earth, like to their like vehicles and like
Yeah.
dining room furniture and everything, refrigerators. I'm like, this seems weird to have it just be Earth.
I found it was weird, but he has built tons of other planets and races as well. So I think this one was sort of around the lines of he's been stealing all these animals from Earth for so long,
Hmm.
and he went to Earth and he loves the music, he loves a lot of the stuff we do, but he like I kind of felt like he hates humans.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm gonna make Earth, but with its cool, like all its nice animals and creatures, and then make them better. And it's a weird thing to wrap your head around, but like I liked a lot of them. It was a great.
Your mic's cutting
I
out
liked
again.
that, and I liked how yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, is it?
No, I want to get your full thoughts on yours, so I want to make sure that we're not cutting out.
Is that better? Does that sound a little
Yeah.
better at all?
Yeah, sounds good. Yep.
I what I liked is that they were able to tie in the sovereign in with it. So we kind of seen the gold people who are all like egotistical and whatever. The high evolutionary is kind of like their god,
Yeah.
and then they created the warlock, which
Adam
then
Warlock,
Adam Warlock, which they reveal uh, the high what's his name, the high
High
evolutionary
Evolutionary. Yeah.
released. Yeah, they released him from his prison too early, so they made it. They found a way to make Adam Warlock not too overpowered in this one. Um, they're like he's super powerful, He's like literally almost unable to be killed in this movie, but he still takes damage, and he still like gets knocked out a few times. Mostly because I guess he is still in his child phase. So, which I thought, I forget the actor's name.
I don't
Uh,
remember his name,
I
but
forget his name as well, but I thought he did a really good job actually.
yeah.
I thought it was really funny, and he actually did a really good job. Um, I did like I liked Adam Warlock a lot in this one.
I
So
thought his role was kind of minimal though, because that
yeah,
was the whole hype um out of volume 2 was they
yeah,
teased Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock's supposed to be this big deal, this big character from the comics. He was involved in like he had a big role in Infinity War as well, so a lot of people thought that he was going to be introduced in that movie because of just the title. But again, it was
yeah,
too early to show that character for where he was in the story. Um, so I feel like he was just like this side character kind of,
yeah,
which kind of sucked. We didn't get a whole lot of Adam Warlock, but yeah, the actor did a really good job with it. I thought the design looked really good, and I mean, it's kind of teased that maybe we could get more of Adam Warlock in the future. So
yeah, yeah. Be cool if we see him like a little older. I don't know who would get to play it, but I think it'd be cool to see him just like at his
yeah,
full potential and as a leader. That would be pretty sweet. But in time, maybe.
yeah. So, but he was. So we're getting to the ending now here, at least for this point. But they tease at the end a new Guardians team, which consists of Adam Warlock, Rocket, Groot, which is fucking huge Groot now.
Yeah,
Um,
Alpha Group.
Alpha Groot. And then Kraglin. Was Cosmo part of the team? Did they say that
Yeah,
Cosmos? Okay.
yeah. Cosmo was there.
And then I don't know if I'm missing anybody else, but the final one is Phyla Vel, which
Yeah,
they just named her Phyla in the movie. So
yeah,
when they were rescuing her as like one of the children in that story, as soon as they said her name, I'm like, oh my god, that's that character. I've
yeah,
been waiting for that character to show up in the movies as well.
yeah. So we had it was Phyla,
Yeah,
Cosmo, Rocket was the new leader, which was really cool. At the end, we get he gets passed the torch. Um, Groot and the one guy, what's his name? Guy who got
Kraglin.
the yeah, Kraglin. Kraglin. I think it was just the five of them. Pretty sure. And
Yeah,
Adam Warlock. If I didn't already say
yeah.
that.
Um,
um, do you want to say where they all went? Like what happens at the end? Like where they all decided where we leave off with the Guardians?
where they went. I don't know were you talking about like the planet? I don't know what the
No,
planet
it's
they went
like
to.
I meant like
Oh, like all
current
the
where
current
they're gonna
Guardians where they went to.
yeah, like where their stories end.
Well, I like what they did with Peter because after his whole journey and everything, he realizes that he does still have family that he abandoned on Earth, his grandfather. Um, so he went back to visit him and spend time with him, because he like missed out of his entire life when he got abducted. Um, where the hell did Mantis go?
Mantis. Well, we do see Mantis leaving with three obelisks, which
Yeah,
is awesome. So she's definitely going to be safe wherever she goes. She's completely fine. Doesn't really. It kind of leaves it open ended as to where she's going, but she's going on her
yeah.
own. She's going
I
to see
I
what she wants to do.
Yeah, I assume she was going to Earth with Peter since they're siblings.
Yeah,
Um,
it would be
but
cool to introduce your grandpa to your bug sister.
yeah, um, but yeah, then she was like leaving with the obelisk. So I'm like, okay, so she's probably not going to Earth.
Yeah. No, she was just going to find out what she wants to do with her life because she said that all she ever did was what Ego wanted and then
Hmm.
what the Guardians wanted. So now she's just gonna go. Maybe we'll get a side story with her. Maybe we'll get our own Mantis movie. Who
Yeah,
knows? Or unless her character is done, I don't know. But
I know a lot of a lot of actors pretty much said like they're doing this because of James Gunn, and
yeah,
so we're not sure if they're gonna return. They probably will not return, but I feel like we can guess like which ones, if they asked them to come back, they would. But
Yeah.
the first big one saying in the credits, it says that Star-Lord will return. So it sounds like Marvel has plans with Star-Lord, right?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought so.
Whether or not Chris Pratt's gonna keep playing the role or not, which I think he would. Um, it sounds like they're still gonna have plans for him. Um, we know that Drax is done. Dave Bautista is no longer being Drax. There's no way to convince him to come back.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He was left with Nebula to they're gonna run the city together on nowhere.
nowhere,
So
yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think if
Which we
anything,
didn't talk about. Yeah, which we didn't talk about, but they turned nowhere into an amazing fucking ship that
yeah,
can that can actually like space travel and port and has cannons coming out of the eyes, which is fucking sick.
yeah, that was a
So
cool reveal where like he
yeah,
called Kraglin. I thought they were gonna take some ships and like come meet them there.
yeah,
No, they took all of nowhere to fight that
yeah,
ship, which I thought was cool. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't know if nowhere comes back, they're gonna bring back Nebula and Drax for that purpose probably. I'm just trying to think like in a future story because we got crossover stuff happening, right? We got Avengers
yeah,
Kang Dynasty, which personally I wouldn't expect any like Guardian stuff to show up in that. Um,
yeah,
I think it's gonna be focused on Kang. I personally think it's gonna be a young Avengers movie. I don't think we're gonna
yeah.
see. I don't think we're gonna see like in particular Captain America and like She-Hulk or Thor or anything like that. Um I think we're going to see all the kid Avengers that they've been teasing, and that's going to be like their first big movie is going to be that movie cuz that's, I mean, Kang has a lot of tie-ins to the younger Avengers in the comics as well. So I feel like that's going
Right.
to be their introduction, and then the bigger movie is gonna be like Kang's gonna be, I think Kang's gonna be um like a misdirect. Like they're teasing up nothing against Jonathan Majors because he plays a fantastic Kang. I just feel like
Yeah.
they're gonna be using Kang as a misdirect. Like he's the biggest, baddest guy after Thanos, when actually there's a bigger threat beyond him.
Yeah.
And that's going to be in the Avengers Secret Wars. So
Okay.
I feel like they're teasing that stuff coming up, and I think Secret Wars is when we're going to see Guardians come back in some way.
Hmm. It's a while from what phase is that? Is that the next phase after this one? Or is it the end of this phase?
The Avengers movies are in. Oh, now I got to think. Yeah, the Avengers movies are in Phase 6.
Phase 6. Okay. We're on phase.
Yeah, we're on
We're
Phase
in,
5.
okay.
The
Huh.
Ant-Man
Yeah.
and Guardians are the
Oh,
start of Phase 5.
yeah.
Gamora, I don't know
Very
if
cool. Very
Gamora's
cool.
coming back.
I think I remember specifically Gamora and Drax were pretty much done with it. They would
Okay.
probably only come back if James Gunn wanted something. I thought I remember reading, or at least seeing an interview that the two of them were pretty much done. Star Lord said Chris Pratt said he would, but only if James Gunn was behind it and like it made sense for Star Lord's character. Even though it said he will return, I think it's still basically just meant if when we see something in the future that he wants to come up
Yeah,
with.
I can tell you right now, as good as terms as Kevin Feige is with James Gunn, Disney is not going to be like, yeah, we're going to have James Gunn work on an Avengers movie. There's no way.
Yeah. Trying to think of who else was.
And Warner Brothers would be like, no, they're going to be like, find your own guy. He's ours now.
Yeah, but Warner. So only if we get on track with the DC movies though, because
Yeah.
they've been great lately. So I mean, I think the best one out of all the DC movies that I've watched in a long time, besides that standalone Batman movie that I love, but I really liked like Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad by James Gunn was the best one. It's like one of my favorite movies, and it's only because James Gunn did it.
He just
Like he's the only
teased
one I think can
he,
bring him
he
back.
just teased some of the cast list for the new Superman movie he's working on.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah. Um
Did you watch off topic real quick? Did you watch Shazam 2?
no, I didn't watch the second one.
I haven't watched it yet either. I'll get to it eventually.
You just want to know if I thought it was good or not?
Just if you had even seen it, and if you did, I was gonna say if it was worth watching or not. Like I watched the
I
first one, that was pretty good, but
yeah.
it wasn't like
I was a huge Zachary Levi fan. Mostly because Truck was like my favorite show at the time that was on the air.
yeah.
Um, and he just seemed like an awesome guy throughout his career that I was following him. Until very
Oh, are you gonna tell
recently,
me something?
where it's not even very recently, many years back, I started seeing cracks
Mm.
into how much of an insane person he is,
Oh,
and
that sucks.
and how he just falls for like conspiracy theories and shit like that. And it was most prevalent last year, I want to say it was, when he was just falling for and peddling misinformation,
Yeah.
which me speaking out about it online, not a lot of people were happy about it. I get that he made things very vague, but considering his past history, who he pals around with, who he follows, where he gets his news sources from, I am under the impression he wasn't being vague at all, and it's pretty clear what he was meaning. So
Mm.
I don't want to get too far into the details and politics and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm not a fan of Zachary Levi as a person for that reason. As an actor, I think he's great, and I think he is the perfect role for Shazam. The first movie I watched,
Right.
I loved it. And that's to say that I hate the character Shazam. I think he's one of DC's dumbest heroes, and I can't stand him. I don't
That's funny.
understand why people love the character so much. So
Hey, I thought Shazam. I don't know anything about Shazam that much, so
he's he's a kid who got the power to become an adult from a dying wizard.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I watched the movie. I mean, I watched the
Yeah,
movie, but like other than that, I didn't really care for it that much. I thought the
yeah,
movie was pretty good.
yeah.
Like I didn't know anything about
Movie is great.
Shazam going into it.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was good. I didn't watch the second one yet. I really liked Black Adam. I thought that was really good, which I
Oh yeah.
bombed at the box office, but I had a good time with it. I thought it was. Did you watch that one yet?
Nope.
Dude, that one was pretty good. It was
Okay.
pretty good. Watching the Rock just like I don't know be a god the whole time was
Yeah.
actually pretty cool. It also has like I don't know if you want me to tell you anybody cool that's in it. Do you want like just to
Uh,
maybe get you to
what, like
watch it? Just like
actors or
no like heroes. You know
I've heard
anybody?
of some heard of some characters that
Okay.
are in it.
Like there was
um,
do you want to know anybody or
we
no?
don't need to spoil it on this podcast.
No. Okay, yeah. If you when you watch it, I'd love like I actually would talk about that one because there were some cool characters in that one that I think I didn't really even know much about until I started playing Injustice. Like I was playing Injustice 2 and I was like, oh, that's that guy. I play as
Yeah,
him. He's got this power, and then I see it on
yeah.
screen. I'm like, that's pretty sweet. So, um, that was actually not that bad. But what was your favorite part in Guardians 3, by the way?
That hallway scene was cool.
The hallway scene at the end with all of
Yeah.
them just doing like their one last attack. Yeah, it felt very Guardians, but felt like a video game scene too, which I enjoyed.
Honestly, I like the just a lot of the backstory and the emotional stuff out of this movie. I don't know if I have a favorite part I would pick out.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of great moments in this movie.
Hmm.
There's also a lot of just like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. There's a lot of like jokey moments that I think just fall flat.
Yeah.
that I think just kind of like I feel like the humor in the first movie
Yeah.
it's much more subtle and not as like
It's not
rapid
cringy.
fire in these other
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, but it's not cringy and it just hits a lot better. Like the there's more hits in the first movie than there are in the sequels.
Yeah. I
Uh,
feel like they got like 10, like you kind of feel like they have like 10 jokes in the first one, and all 10 are great.
yeah,
Whereas like the third one is like they have like 30 jokes, and you're like, I only like 12 of them. It's like, it's too many. It's
yeah.
just like every scene has got to be like a whole jokey scene. Because I was like, can you give us like some like really good, like a good serious moment?
There's a
They always
lot of
want to
good
ruin it
serious
with like,
moments here, yeah. But
but they always have like a joke at the end, like always. Like
yeah,
even Infinity War did that when Gamora wanted Quill to like, hey, I need you to kill me if my dad gets a hold of me, and they're all being
mhm.
all serious and they like swear on my mother, everything, and then we have Drax who's
it,
standing
it,
there
it all comes
like
down
saying
to
he's
Drax,
invisible.
yeah. And I don't think
Yeah,
it's like any shade to Dave Bautista.
Jesus.
I think it's the writing. I
Yeah,
think it's what the studio wants to do with the character. They're like, "Oh, he's the
yeah,
joke character. Make him the joke character," which I don't think he was intentionally supposed to be that way in the first movie.
yeah,
I think they handle this character a lot more like I was saying when we watched it, but um I read the comics first to get prepared for the movie because I didn't know anything about these characters. I'm like, I want to read where they're from. Read the comics, love the comics. I'm like, these are fantastic. Watched the movie and I'm like, they made a lot of changes from the comics, but they were the right changes because like Drax,
yeah,
he's just kind of like a generic like I'm the tough guy designed to kill Thanos and whatever.
yeah.
But in the first movie, he's like, "Oh, I'm an alien from another planet." Whereas in the comics, I don't know if you caught it reading the first the book that I let you borrow, but um, Drax's origins is actually. Oh, you played the game though. He's actually a human from Earth that like got turned into who he is. Whereas in the movie,
I
he's
don't,
an
I don't remember
alien.
that.
Yeah,
So I thought,
he's a
I think
saxophone
the
player
video
from Earth.
game Drax's.
Hmm.
I don't remember that from the comic books. I thought he was. I've seen different versions of him. I think the
Hmm.
video game he was an alien too, because
He
he was on
talked
a
about his
planet with his.
no, well, he talked about his origins in one of the maybe it's a dialogue tree that you go through. But when I played the game, he was talking about his origins. He's talking about how he's a saxophone player from Earth. So
I don't remember that.
that's his comic book origins. But
Because
in
you see
this,
his wife and
yeah,
daughter who are aliens on a different planet, and that one they have their whole like their tribal thing on their planet and everything. I don't remember any of that. I do remember somebody him being at
maybe I'm remembering wrong.
yeah. I don't think they did that in the video game, but I
Okay.
think I think you're right about a comic book, and I think I also heard that like one version of him was his Thanos's parents or grandparents created Drax the Destroyer to kill their son Thanos. I also heard
Well, I
that
know
too.
that Drax is kind of like created, so he did lose his
Yeah.
family on Earth, and then I didn't really like fully his backstory. Like they kind of like
Mm-hmm.
mention it along the way, like different comics that you read and everything. But like I think his family died on Earth, and then they kind of like took him when he was most vulnerable, and then turned him into the Destroyer and made him designed for killing Thanos. Um, but
So
in this franchise,
yeah,
they made him an alien and everything, which I think is a proper change for the movies. You can't
for sure.
explain all of that in the movies, right?
No, it's too
Um,
much. It's
yeah.
and same thing with because that would be too many characters because you have Nebula who
Hmm.
was being built and created for something. You have
Yeah.
Rocket that was being built and created for something. You can't then be like, oh, our whole team is made out of basically tortured
Yeah.
victims who are now. Yeah, I get that.
So, but I like the characteristics that they gave him. He doesn't understand sarcasm. He's a bit more
Yes,
humorous. So I thought that was great changes in the movies. But I feel like
they
the
kept going with
studio is like, oh, people really like when Drax makes a funny. Let's just make
yeah.
him make funnies all the time. and then the writers just like went. Well, I mean, it's mostly James Gunn writing everything, right? But I mean, I think there's that studio influence because like Dave Bautista's never critical of James Gunn. He's always defending him no matter what. But he is very outspokenly um, critical of Marvel and Disney for anything that they do. So I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff that he doesn't like about his character is more higher up, and I think that's the reason why he's done with the character. And I
Yeah.
feel like
I
they kind of did that character dirty.
yeah. What was your how much did you enjoy the use of the F word in this movie?
I thought I thought it was delivered so well.
Yeah. I had when I went to the theater and saw it, the whole theater
Yeah,
was laughing. I was like buckled over. It was so good. And it is the simplest
yeah,
use of the F word, not like Deadpool or anything like that. It was
yeah,
just Gamora is trying to open up a human door, and she cannot figure out the very basic technology of it.
yeah.
And Star Lord has to try and teach it to her. And she has the door like almost open, and she's like, "What do I do now?" And he's like, "Open the fucking door." And it was so fucking. It was delivered so well, and just so
Yeah.
like out. Like I didn't see that coming, but you wanted to
I
say it,
I relate
and
to
like,
that
and then
moment so much,
yes,
man.
yeah. It was so good. It was so good. Like that was
Yeah,
I thought that was fantastic. We also talked a little bit about stuff we saw with Groot, but we
yeah.
did see Groot use his vines and like tree branches as wings, which I thought was
That
sick
was cool. Yeah, I wasn't
because
expecting that.
yeah, because when they jumped, I was like, how are they gonna get out of this?
Yeah,
Which um I thought was weird for this movie, but not once did Star Lord have his helmet or his boots.
yeah, that's true.
I was like, why don't we have the cool Star Lord classic helmet for the last time possibly that we might see it? And he didn't have his boots because that like there was multiple times where we thought each character was gonna die in this movie. I think they hinted at each character dying at least once.
Yeah, a
And
lot of them got shot a lot.
yeah, when I saw him jump out, I was like, oh, he's gonna have his boots. He's gonna be good. And then as they were like just free falling, I'm like, no, he doesn't have his helmet or his boots.
Yeah.
And then I saw him fall, and I'm like, well, Groot. And I only thought of this because I've been playing a lot of Injustice and
Yeah.
Swamp Thing. I realized can you have his wings, and I didn't know that. And I was
Okay.
like, I bet Groot has wings because Swamp Thing from the DC universe, he grows wings out of like out of like tree branches. And I was like,
Sure. Yeah.
Groot's gonna have fucking wings. And Jess is like, that's stupid. And then Groot grew fucking wings, and I was like, ah. And Jess is like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I was like, yeah. And I was just whispering this to her in the theater,
Yeah.
and I just fucking guessed it. I was like, that is so sick. I was like, I'm so happy because I think I would have thought it was weird, but playing it in a video game and I saw that Swamp Thing had it, which is basically like DC's
Yeah.
Groot, sort of. That I kind of already saw it coming. So I was like, that's kind of cool. So I thought that was really sweet. If you watch this movie, if you've seen this movie and you're listening to this, or you haven't watched it yet, I guess you
Well,
shouldn't watch this, or you shouldn't
everything's
watch
been
this. You haven't seen
spoiled
it.
for them. Yeah, you've watched the
Yeah,
movie if you're watching this.
but going forward, if you watch the ending, where it's like everybody had a turn where they thought he was gonna die. And at one point, Star Lord is trying to get to the ship, and he drops his Zune, and he goes back for it, and then the ship starts collapsing, and he has this cool escape, flies through space, but some debris slows him down. He doesn't quite make it, and you almost think he's gonna die. I definitely think, as for as many times as my girlfriend cried in this movie, and people I've asked that are like, yeah, I fucking teared up that whole movie. If they had killed off Rocket in this movie, if they decided to kill off Rocket, and at the very end, if they had decided to kill off Star Lord, I
Hmm.
thought it would have been way cooler of an idea, as if when we had all the baby raccoons, if Star Lord had like thrown a baby raccoon to the ship to save it with all these other raccoons. I think it would have been like a more like if you wanted to really make people cry, James Gunn, if you had decided to kill off Star Lord by having him throw a baby raccoon and saving the baby raccoon, I think it would have been a cool like ending tie to the whole Rocket thing, where Rocket, if even if they had killed Rocket off, like Star Lord was like, I'm giving my life to save this raccoon because it was kind of like I don't know, could have been like his symbolic to his friend,
Right.
could be his friend one day. I don't know, whatever. I just thought, and I told my girlfriend that, and she's always in the theater. She's like, why you even say that? She's just like started crying and like she was like, that's so crazy. Like I don't know. I just thought it would have been a wild turn if you decided to kill people off as like an alternate ending or something. But I'm still happy we're gonna see Star Lord again. So
Yeah, I like the ending they gave Star-Lord personally.
mhm.
I thought it was fitting for the character.
Did you talk about where Gamora's going?
No, I didn't because I honestly don't know. She's just with the Ravagers now, right?
Yeah. So she's with the Ravagers. Who is the guy that Sylvester Stallone plays?
Oh my god, I can never remember the character's name. He's one of the
Yeah.
old Guardians.
But if you remember Stallone's character from Guardians 2, she ends up being with that group of Ravagers, and they are like her new family. So if you are watching this and you don't care too much about Guardians and you're whatever, if you haven't seen it yet, she does not get back together with Peter Quill at the end of this
Yeah,
movie, which was kind of a letdown. I liked and hated it. I was wanted them to get back together so bad, and I thought it would have been so cool to see them re-fall in love.
yeah,
But I was also like, man, like you gotta have Thanos have an impact that keeps rippling through the MCU because of how bad of a villain he was, and it just
yeah.
shows, there's still side effects to the stuff that he did. So
Sylvester Stallone plays Starhawk.
Starhawk.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever knew that name. I think maybe once.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. She's just with the Ravagers, so I don't know. There's not really cool. She has a new purpose in the MCU, I guess.
Hmm.
Good for her. Um, Mantis is awesome in this movie.
Yeah,
I
she
love Mantis.
they definitely just made Mantis and the Drax like just the punching bags of the Guardians. Like just
Yeah,
they're
I
just
feel
the
like
dumb.
Mantis pulls things off better than Drax does.
Yeah,
Just in terms of comedy and stuff. But she's constantly just landing on her face in this movie.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny. Uh,
Do you, do you watch her a lot in the other movies though? Like in Infinity War and stuff? Like she's
yeah,
always doing something
she's like
silly in the
bouncing around.
background.
She's like jumping around and shit. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Infinity War.
Yeah, it's because
When
the
they're playing.
gravity's all off
Yeah.
from Titan. She's just jumping around in the background. Like she's I don't know the actress's name, but I love her. And I am
Palm Clementif.
yeah. I need her more. I need her in more
Yeah.
things. Like my absolute favorite. I love when she gets mad. I think her anger and stuff is like I think she's such a good actress. I love her a lot. So
Uh, Nebula at one point, uh, when they're in the hallway fight, gets her neck bent completely backwards,
oh
and
yeah.
she's like still fighting.
Yeah. No, she's just full
Yeah.
robot. Like she just could completely reassemble herself. Like
Yeah.
her limbs and stuff, which in the comic books was gross because Thanos put her together with like pieces of like body parts. Like
Hmm.
she's a
Like a
zombie, you know?
Frankenstein. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a zombie and he's like trying to build the perfect fighter out of like body parts. And I'm like, ugh, she's so gross in the comic books. Make robot parts make way more sense. Like she's
Yeah.
like literally indestructible. Like after Adam Warlock just decimates her, there's a whole scene where she's like the Grudge and every part of her body is just creaking and cracking and being just rebuilt. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Who was
She has a lot of cool.
who was that? Who was with? They were doing that like I think it was like a poker scene or something with Howard the
Right.
Duck, or maybe it was like a drinking thing. Howard the Duck was back in this movie. He has like a little
Yeah.
mohawk now. Who is on the opposite of him at the table? Now I'm remembering because I remember watching it and being like, "Oh, that person's back or that person's alive or whatever." And
It
then there
was
was
the guy. I know there was Cosmo, Kraglin, Howard the Duck. I think there was just a couple of extra people, and then there was the guy that you were talking about, the guy from Xandar, who Peter Quill was trying to sell the Power Stone first
Oh yeah,
to.
yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the guy with the he's like you got the best eyebrows in the business.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so I guess because we know that Thanos went to Xandar to get the Power Stone. So I
yeah,
guess that guy survived. It looks
yeah,
like.
yeah. I wish we had some stuff on that. Like that's I think I've talked about that before, where I kind of wished the beginning of Endgame,
Yeah.
we saw Thanos like decimating Xandar, and we could get that last little
Maybe
Infinity Stone.
maybe in what if we can get a version of that, but
Yeah.
all we know is that there's like a storyboard created for it, and it was supposed to be 45
Mhm.
minutes, and it was cut
Yeah.
from the movie. So that's all we know. I don't think anything really was created out of that.
I still think that's really cool. And whether we know he's not wasteful.
Yeah.
So Thor says he decimated Xandar, but we
Which,
do know
to
that
be
Thanos
fair, I
didn't.
think that means that he destroyed a percent, a 1%
Yeah.
of Xandar when his MO is to kill half of the planet.
Yeah.
So I don't think maybe he felt generous that day.
Yeah. Or maybe I mean he's got a whole army. Maybe he did leave his army there, and the army is just slaughtering half of Xandar, and he
Yeah.
decimated half of it. We don't know how big Xandar is. Maybe it's not a huge
Yeah.
planet, but
All they showed is that
um,
one big city, so
yeah. When you say you decimated place, I feel like you've obliterated it. I mean, he could
well,
have.
yeah, that's usually what people mean, but the literal definition is like it's like a 1% of like what you did. So like him saying like he decimated Xandar, it's like he destroyed a couple homes and then he left.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. My original thought was I thought he just evacuated half the planet
Yeah.
and then just obliterated the rest of it with anybody still on it. So I always thought Xandar wasn't even like staying like even a planet anymore. I thought it was like reduced to atoms.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, is Xandar still around? Because when we're talking about the Nova Corps and we brought up in the last thing about Secret Invasion, is the Kree still around? Do they still
Yeah.
have that treaty with Xandar if Thanos came to the planet and destroyed Xandar? Which like if Xandar's not destroyed, then why is that guy on nowhere and not at Xandar, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like Xandar would be destroyed. So like there's so many
But
questions based off that one line of
well,
dialogue from Thor
yeah.
in Infinity War.
But if you think about it, like he had to have decimated Xandar his old-fashioned way before the stones, right? Because he didn't have them yet. So his way of decimating half of a
He took
place
his army
because
there
he's not
and
rifle.
like
Yeah, and then he just
yeah,
wipes out half of the place.
yeah.
So their world, regardless if the stones were snapped and brought back, their world is still missing half of its people. So their world could still be in like complete shatters. Like there's probably no
But
society there.
yeah,
So that it makes sense why we wouldn't see people. That guy could be on like he's like fuck, I moved to nowhere because
yeah, there's
Xandar's not
nobody
even.
there anymore. Yeah, all my
Yeah,
business is gone. Nobody like there's nobody
yeah.
shopping around
So
for like artifacts and stuff.
so that was my take on that. Or
Yeah.
unless the whole planet is reduced to like atoms, because he's not wasteful. So the only reason why he would like just like I can't see him destroying the whole planet, but just destroying half of the civilization, and
Yeah.
then they're just like we don't even know how to recover from this. So I could see why people move. So it makes sense
It'd
to see
be
that guy.
yeah, it would be great if we get a Nova movie someday, which is always rumored. Nova's
Yeah,
just like it's just there's two characters named Nova, but they're part of the Nova Corps. Um, but the question is like what's because there's so many questions for that I feel like they would bring up in that movie. Because there's just
yeah,
that one line of dialogue just opens up so much. And I don't think the Nova Corps, if they still exist, is like huge anymore because first you got Ronan coming to Xandar, and then he wiped out that entire fleet that was in like a net
oh
trying
yeah,
to stop him from landing on the planet. Then you got Thanos coming into the planet and then destroying half of it, as we're assuming.
right,
Which takes out a bunch of the rest of the Nova Corps. Obviously, before they like line people up and kill them like they did on Gamora's planet, they probably took out a bunch of Nova Corps that were trying to fire at him, stopping him from reaching the planet, right?
right,
So um they're, the core is already like so thin at that point, and then Thanos snaps and like half of the Nova Corps that's left is also gone for 5 years.
yeah.
So
I
like I'm wondering like is there any sort of police force in the galaxy at that point?
yeah. My what I thought would be a cool like Nova movie is if you did it like the Nova Corps like sort of being rebuilt after Ronan
After,
came,
yeah,
and maybe we just make a Nova movie where they had to fight some other thing going on. I don't know, but it'd be cool if we had an outer space, like kind of like a Star Wars, outer space patrol whatever fight going on, and kind of like how they introduce at the end of Rogue One, but they have Darth Vader come and then just decimate people at the end of that. It'd be cool if at the end of um, the Nova movie, like Thanos' ship shows up, and you get like maybe like 15 minutes of Thanos just decimating the
oh, so
rest
it's
of
like the backstory, yeah,
yeah, like
about,
the backstory. So
yeah,
we don't get to see Thanos decimating Xandar, but we know that when he showed up, he just fucked
yeah.
up. Like maybe even the main
You see a
character that
ship
we see,
maybe,
yeah, he fucks
yeah,
up the main character, and he like just we're like, oh shit, I just watched 2.5 hours of this guy being this new Nova Corps leader, and then Thanos shows up and then just ruins him. And even that
yeah.
girl who's the Nova leader, we see her like so we just see Thanos just stab her with his sword
I
and
feel
everything
like
like that.
she's dead. I don't think
She's
she's
got
still
to
alive.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be. So it'd
Yeah,
be cool to see that at the end
yeah,
of Thanos showing up between Guardians 1 and Infinity War. If we saw that, like the Nova Corps recovering, I don't know, that'd be sweet. We see him at, maybe she's defending the last vault where we kept the Power Stone, and then you see like the movie ends with Thanos like lifting up his gauntlet with the one stone, kind of like how the trailer was.
yeah.
I'd watch it, even if it was just a what if. I don't know.
Well, where I want to leave it here is, who do we think is coming back? Like, cause I feel like Marvel's at some point gonna be like, we need to bring Guardians into this movie or crossover or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah,
feel
I
like
think Rocket and Groot at some point are gonna come back. They're kind
yeah,
of like
it's
mascots. They're voice actors. I feel like Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper would be like, "Oh yeah, I'll come in for another paycheck and do my voiceovers."
if
Yeah,
if James Gunn is for sure behind it, I can see
won't
almost the
be.
whole team possibly come back. I can also see Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana. I think they're
You're hold
out.
on. You got to start over, man, because your mic is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's Discord or your
No,
mic. So I'm sorry.
I feel like it's gotta be Discord because my mic is
It could be
working fine.
Discord. Yeah,
Or it could be my internet.
yeah,
Does that sound okay right now?
yeah. It sounds good now.
Does that sound fine? Yeah, like you said, the mascots could easily come back. Just CGI characters. It's easy to do. Uh, Dave Batista and Zoe Saldana. I don't really see them coming back unless the writing is really good from James Gunn.
Maybe.
Star Lord, yes, and Mantis possibly. That's fine. And I don't
I
think
think I'm the
Nebula would come
same.
back either. I
You don't
don't
think
think
so?
Nebula would come
I
back
think
either.
she,
No, I don't think
because
so.
from what I've read online, I mean, she's very active online. Karen Gillan is,
Yeah,
uh, right. That's her name, right?
yeah, I think so.
She's very active online, and she seems like she loves the character.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she like jumps at the chance to play the character anytime. So
Mhm.
I feel like she could come back if they wanted her to.
Yeah,
That's why
I
it's
like
weird
her
that
character.
she's on Nowhere with Drax, because I feel like if they're putting Nowhere into a story, those characters have to return. But like Dave Bautista's not returning, so
Yeah,
what are they gonna do?
yeah. If anything, we get a cameo from him where he's like sitting, maybe he's laying on a couch and he's got kids, and
Yeah,
he's like, I don't fight anymore. I don't know.
yeah, maybe.
He's got, he's laying sideways on a couch. He's like, this one's mine, and I'm gonna use it what it's meant for.
uh, one thing we forgot, the cameo from Nathan Fillion was great in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I
Uh,
meant to say that too. He's got a nice, he's got a pretty, he's got like probably like 20 minutes worth of filming on scene there, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which he's been in the, if you didn't know, so like Nathan Fillion's a big friend of James Gunn, and he'll like include him in movies and TV shows whenever he can. Um, but he was in the first movie. He was that blue alien in the kiln where Groot shoves his branches up his nose.
hmm
And then he was supposed to be in the second movie. He was playing a character called Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man. who was going to be a character set in the past during or I think it was in the past. I can't remember. He's an actor. They had a bunch of fake posters and everything set up in like this movie theater. It was just a deleted scene that they never used.
Yeah.
So they cut his character out of the second movie. But James Gunn in the past has said to him Nathan Fillion is canon. Simon Williams in the MCU, so he's the MCU's power Wonder Man, which is not the case at all because we're getting I don't know if I think Wonder Man's been cast. I can't remember who it is, but they're working on that show right now, and it
Hmm.
doesn't involve Nathan Fillion, as far as we know.
Ethan
So.
Fillion's really good at getting into anything that he likes. Like
Oh
he's just so
yeah,
such a likable character. Halo.
hmm
He was in the Suicide Squad. He was the detachable kid.
yeah, the detachable
Uh,
kid. He was
yeah.
in, which is funny. Okay, so this is so weird because the Suicide Squad is part of the DCU canon apparently, whatever
Okay.
that means, because I'm still so confused about it all. Nathan Fillion is, I'm pretty sure, has played a Green Lantern character in like an animated Green Lantern thing. Um, James Gunn just announced he's going to be playing one of the Green Lanterns in the Superman movie he's working on.
Hmm.
So he's going to be cast as a second DCU character now.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Which, even though his character died in the Suicide Squad, there was a
Mhm.
thing on the board in the back that showed everybody's everyone dead. The detachable kid wasn't dead. Like he gets shot in his
Yeah,
arms a
yeah,
lot and he's
skin.
laying on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's shown as not dead. And the when the Suicide Squad people back at the
yeah,
center are seeing everybody's thing dying, the detachable kid, I can't remember exactly, but it says like wounded or super injured, but whatever. It doesn't
yeah.
say that he's dead deceased. So I was like, we could see the detachable kid again
Good.
if James Gunn decided.
Maybe he'll meet Green Lantern and be like,
Yeah,
you look familiar. Um, so
it's just
let's get back to Guardians. Any final things you want to say on Guardians? I will say for my final thing, I do wish I do wish a lot of uh the story, like it doesn't have to be every character, but a lot of these characters, I'd say mostly like Rocket, Groot, Cosmo. I want to see these character stories progress, and I'd love to see like what happens on Nowhere, the day to day stuff, like what kind of adventures that they go on, and I'd love to see that in an animated form, because you don't need to have all your like big name actors come back. You just have any sort of voice actors play the role and have it continue in an animation, um, which I don't think Marvel's like pushing ahead on. They have What If. They have Marvel Zombies. They have Spider-Man Freshman Year. If they're still working on that, I'm kind of I feel like they're quiet canceling that. And then they got the X-Men cartoon coming out. But other than that, I don't think they're like pushing ahead on like MCU animation so much. But that's my personal wish for Guardians. I wish that kind of continues that way. Um, and hopefully we see more of Adam Warlock as well.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What are your final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians was it's up there and probably my top 10 favorite. Like I liked it even from like the phase 1 through 3. Like this is still up there with one of my favorites. It's got a lot of good jokes in it. It's got a lot of funny moments. I felt the action and adventure was fun all the way through. Uh, I got a little annoyed with some of the like. There's some cringy things where I'm just like, it's just like really like not. It's like kind of just straight dumb humor. It wasn't even like kind of like creative. I like when it's just kind of when it's like a you can kind of relate to it. Like the couch thing was one of my favorites. Like the couch scene. It was such a easy joke, but it was so
Yeah.
funny. The just open the fucking door. It was great. There's just stuff like that. I just now that I'm thinking about it though too, I was like, why didn't he have his fucking helmet and his boots? Because then he could have flown through space at the end, and we didn't need to do the Adam Warlock hero
Yeah.
scene.
Maybe he thought he was
So
done with them because he's on Nowhere now. He doesn't need to use that stuff
yeah,
anymore.
just
He's not an outlaw. He's not
yeah,
a Ravager.
it's weird to just not even have that
Yeah.
like extra on your like on the ship though when you're going
Yeah.
to save your friend. It's weird that they never even had that the whole time. Um,
The soundtrack.
because The soundtrack. Oh my god, it was. I think 1 and 3 were my favorite soundtrack. 2 has so many good songs, but man, I love the soundtrack for 3. Like it was perfect. Like everything, like I don't know. I felt like everything hit perfectly. Like when Nowhere came into view, when we got to see Adam Warlock, because I think even you said something when Adam Warlock was coming on a screen. He was flying through space with the song that they used.
Oh yeah, it was that Heart song, Crazy on You.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that song.
yeah.
Yeah.
The ending, the dog. I think it's called Dog Days are over or
Mm-hmm.
Dog
Yep.
Days when they're kind of just seeing everybody on their final journey, going to their new thing. I thought that was really good. We get to see Drax dance for the first time, and it was a pretty good moment too. Like it
Yeah.
was not like he just decided to dance. It was like a lot of kids
Yeah.
kind of brought it out of him because
Yeah, he
you
did
know
a
he's
nice ending too, where it's like you were born to be a dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not much we could do with him now, right? Like
Yeah.
he lost his wife, he lost his daughter, but now he's gonna help Nebula raise a
Well,
bunch of kids on Nowhere. He's gonna love that.
he was pure revenge and like suicidal. Like he's
Yeah,
like, this is like my final purpose in life is to take revenge and vengeance on my family, and then see them again when I die. But now he has new purpose where he's like he's taking care of all these kids that they saved. Which,
yeah,
by the way, mentioned this when we were watching this. Does every Marvel movie now have to involve saving a bunch of kids?
yeah. That's yeah. That I never even put together until you said it, which was hilarious.
um. So yeah.
But at least,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just say that's 3 right now. We got Doctor Strange, Thor: Love and Thunder, and we had Guardians, all involved saving kids. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Could you kind of say that Lang had to save Cassie a couple times
Yeah.
too?
You have to save.
Maybe
Yeah,
possibly
Cassie.
potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, there was a lot. It's
There's a
just
lot
it's
of
been
focus on. I mean, obviously, the big thing is. I mean, I'm talking about like Guardians and Thor. It's just like let's just save a bunch of these random kids that it's like, hey kids, you want to
yeah,
be in a Disney movie kind of thing, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but obviously like the big main character kids that they're putting a lot of attention and detail to are ones that they're planning to use for future projects. So Cassie, uh, um, uh what was the other one we just talked about? Well, the I don't know if Thor. I
America
don't.
Chavez.
Yeah, America Chavez. That was the other one. I don't know. I
Chavez.
don't know if Chris Hemsworth's daughter is gonna show up again because I don't know if he um
Yeah,
love.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
love.
but yeah, we're gonna. I think that's one topic that you want to bring up is like looking at other characters that we could see coming up in the future. So that's
But
definitely
yeah,
something we'll look into in the future podcast.
yeah. We got some new ones to add to this list now from the ending of this movie. So
Yeah, we got Phyla, but I don't think Phyla is gonna be like. I think she's a Guardian. I don't think she's gonna be
yeah,
like a young Avenger or anything like that.
yeah. Mine was just mostly like just like a new characters to the team, regardless of what team it was gonna be, or because we have Adam Warlock now, who'll be a new character to a team. He's still kind of green, even though he's obviously
Yeah,
like a more like he's probably like in his I don't know 20s, 30s, but he's still like a child compared to the Sovereigns. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was cool too, showing us that the Sovereign were created by was this high
I think it
evolution.
was just like to
Wrap up
make that wrap up like include that into like how they're going to put Adam Warlock into this movie because like
mm,
otherwise Adam Warlock does not belong in this movie.
yeah.
Like there's
I
nothing to do with Adam Warlock or the Sovereign or anything in this movie.
yeah. Which is hard when I think when you want to do a trilogy because I feel like James Gunn was like torn because he's like we hinted at Autumn Warlock, so we have to
Yeah.
do some. I have to do something, but I
I,
also really want to do uh Rocket's backstory. So
Yeah, that's the heart of this movie is Rocket's backstory. I think Adam Warlock being in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is equivalent to Thanos being in the first movie in the sense that that wasn't really part of James Gunn's original vision or part of that movie.
Yeah.
That's what the studio made him do, or what's something that was promised that we'd see.
Right.
Because that's, I mean, he's been open about that. He's like, the only thing that I had to do in Guardians was put Thanos in a scene. And so he's like, that's why Thanos was in there. Otherwise, it would have just been
Oh,
focused on the Guardians.
yeah. Ronan was an okay boss. That's the only thing I don't think they really cared for much. We didn't really see like a cool Guardians versus Ronan fight scene much. It was just like that quick on the
Yeah.
ship, and then after, like, we didn't get much of it. So other than that, I loved, like, Guardians 1's great. It's just
Should I spoil something for the Marvels?
yeah, sure.
If I don't know if you can stop watching this podcast right now. Um, if you don't want to be spoiled for the Marvels, in the trailer, we see a character with a hammer, and I'm pretty sure that's the new Accuser. I think it's been announced somewhere. So that's sort
Interesting.
of like the new Ronin role is going to be to this new character.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, honestly though, my overall rating, I think I gave it like a 8.5 out of 10, maybe a
mhm,
9. Like, I loved a lot of it. It just feels very long, but it's like action packed the whole time though.
yeah,
Like, it's good.
I
It's
don't know if
funny.
I feel like this one is close to 2 for me, but I still think I'd rank 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But um, I think I hold 1 in such high regard, and I think it was just it's one of the movies like MCU movies where I can just rewatch it. It's on, like, I can watch this movie. It's one that
Yeah.
I want to rewatch all the time. Uh, there's very few, like, I don't think I can really criticize anything about the first movie.
Yeah.
Um, like 2 and 3, there's some like flaws where it's like, yeah, there's some cringy stuff or whatever. They're still really good movies, and I love them, and I can rewatch them and everything. But the first one there, I think, is just it's the peak of Guardians of the Galaxy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. There's just a lot of cool things I liked in this one with, like, Groot.
Hmm.
That Groot was so sick in this one. Like, it
Yeah.
was really cool. Um, and I think what I missed a lot about this one, like, even though it was all about Rocket's backstory, because he was kind of like out of it for most of the movie, it like hurt because I was like, man, it would be so cool to watch. I just want to watch Rocket invent stuff the whole time. So we didn't get like a lot of that. So that was like that bothered me a lot. I think in this movie is the only thing. So
Well, we did see one of his inventions, it,
yeah,
Nebula's arm.
yeah, yeah. Which was really cool. Nebula, I think out of all the characters in Guardians, Nebula has the biggest character arc from just going like
Yeah, yeah.
beat down, just beat up, hates life, hates everyone, just bitter. Then the second one, we kind of see her just saying, I just wanted a sister.
Hmm.
She's like, all you want to do is win. All I wanted was a sister. And then this one, she's like, fuck you. We have to save these kids. We got to save this rodent. I don't give a shit about you. Like, because it's the whatever, the past more. Like, she was just all like, and then she's like, I want to protect the city. I want to lead
Yeah,
it. Like, she's awesome. She literally says she wants to give these kids a home that she never had. So I was like, man, yeah, definitely love Nebula's character a lot.
yeah. I agree with that. I think that's where we're going to end it here. So, um, once again, thanks for watching. We should be back hopefully next week talking about episode 4 of Secret Invasion, which I'm going to watch tomorrow. I still haven't
Yeah,
watched it. So,
me neither. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow morning, I
yeah.
think. So
So, come back for that. We have more Marvel news and topics we can talk about that we've been holding off on. So, we'll see you next time, folks. Bye.
see ya.